Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, the New Seoul. The stars looked peaceful through the big window in front of him. His ship was not very big. It was built for exploring space, not for fighting. But today he felt like something bad was about to happen. "Captain," said Bora Park, his chief engineer. She was looking at her screen with worry on her face. "I'm getting strange readings from the edge of the system. Something big is coming our way." Dae-ho walked over to her station. He had been a space captain for 15 years. He knew when his crew was scared, and Bora was definitely scared. "How big?" he asked. 12 ships, sir. They're huge. Much bigger than us." Bora's hands moved quickly over her controls. "They're not using any technology I know about. Their engines are different. Their weapons are different. Everything about them is different." Sungmin Lee, the tactical officer, turned around in his chair. "Captain, they're sending us a message. It's coming through on all frequencies." "Put it on the main screen," Dae-ho said. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge go quiet. The alien was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to shine. Its eyes were large and black. When it spoke, its voice was cold and strange. "Attention, primitive vessel," the alien said. "I am Admiral Vexitara of the Quillen Empire. You have entered space that belongs to the Galactic Council. Your species is unknown to us. You will surrender immediately and come with us for processing." Dae-ho felt his jaw tighten. Processing. He didn't like the sound of that word. "Open a channel," he told Sungmin. "Channel open, sir. This is Captain Dae-ho Kim of the human ship New Seoul. We are peaceful explorers from Earth. We mean no harm to anyone. We are just passing through this system on our way to survey some planets." Admiral Vexitara's face did not change. "Your intentions do not matter, human. All new species must be brought before the Council for evaluation. Some are allowed to join us as servants. Others are sent back to their homeworlds and forbidden to leave. A few are eliminated if they are too dangerous." The words hit Dae-ho like a punch to the stomach. He looked around at his crew. They all looked as shocked as he felt. These aliens were talking about slavery or death like they were discussing the weather. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," Dae-ho said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Humans are not looking to join anyone as servants. We're also not looking for trouble. Why don't we just go our separate ways?" Admiral Vextara made a sound that might have been laughter, but it was not friendly. "You do not understand your situation, human. You have one small ship. I have 12 warships. Each of my ships is 5 times bigger than yours. Each of my ships has weapons that could destroy your vessel in seconds. You do not get to choose what happens next." Dae-ho could feel the anger building in his chest. He had dealt with bullies before, both on Earth and in space. This alien thought humans were weak just because they had one small ship. She thought she could push them around because she had bigger guns. "Bora," he said quietly. "Send a message on the secure channel. Emergency code 7. Bora's eyes went wide. Emergency code 7 meant they needed immediate military support. It meant they were in serious danger. "Are you sure, Captain?" "Do it." Bora's fingers moved quickly over her controls. The message would travel faster than light through special communication devices. If there were any human military ships in the area, they would get the message in minutes. Admiral Vextara was still talking. "Your ship will be escorted to our processing station. Your crew will be examined and tested. Those who are useful will be kept alive. Those who are not useful will be disposed of. This is how things work in civilized space." "Civilized?" Dae-ho couldn't keep the anger out of his voice anymore. "You call slavery and murder civilized?" "We call it order," Admiral Vextara said. "Strong species rule. Weak species serve or die. This has been the way of the galaxy for thousands of years. Your species is clearly weak, so you will serve." On the tactical display, Sungmin could see the alien ships moving into attack formation. They were spreading out in a pattern that would let them surround the New Seoul. Their weapons were charging up. Energy readings were climbing higher and higher. "Captain," Sungmin said, "they're getting ready to fire on us." Dae-ho nodded. He had expected this. Bullies always turned to violence when they didn't get their way immediately. "Raise our shields. Charge our weapons. But don't fire unless they fire first." "Sir, our weapons won't do much against those ships," Sungmin said. "I know, but we're not going to just sit here and let them take us without a fight." Admiral Vexitara's image was still on the screen. "You have 60 seconds to surrender, human. After that, my ships will open fire. Your vessel will be destroyed and your crew will die. This is your last chance to save their lives." Dae-ho looked around his bridge one more time. His crew was scared, but they were ready to fight. They all knew what surrender meant. They had heard the alien talking about processing and disposal. They would rather die fighting than live as slaves. "Bora, any response to our message?" he asked. Bora checked her screens. "Yes, sir." One word, acknowledged. That was all Deho needed to hear. Help was coming. He just had to keep his ship and crew alive long enough for it to arrive. "Admiral Vextara," he said to the alien on the screen. "I have a message for you too. Speak quickly, human." "Your time is almost up," Deho smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something his enemy didn't know. "Signal the Inchon's fury. Tell Admiral Hyajin that it's time." Admiral Vexitara's face changed. For the first time, she looked confused. "What is the Inchon's fury? What are you talking about?" "You'll see," Deho said. "You wanted to know about humans? You wanted to test us? Well, you're about to get your chance. But I don't think you're going to like what you learn." The alien admiral's confusion turned to anger. "Enough games, human. Fire!" She screamed at her ships. But before the alien weapons could fire, something happened that changed everything. Space itself began to twist and bend behind the new soul. Reality started to tear open like someone was cutting through fabric with a knife. A bright light poured out of the growing hole in space. Admiral Vexitara stared at her screens in shock. Her sensors were going crazy. They were detecting something huge coming through the hole in space, something bigger than anything she had ever seen. "What is that?" she whispered. Deho's smile got wider. "That, Admiral, is what happens when you threaten humans." The hole in space grew bigger and bigger. Light poured out of it like water from a broken dam. The alien ship stopped moving toward the new soul. Every crew member on every ship was staring at the growing tear in reality. Admiral Vexitara felt her blood turn cold. In all her years of conquest, she had never seen anything like this. Her sensors were screaming warnings at her. Whatever was coming through that hole was massive. It was so big that her computers couldn't even measure it properly. "Report," she yelled at her crew. "Admiral," her science officer said, his voice shaking. "The energy readings are off our charts. Whatever is coming through is at least 10 times bigger than our largest ship. Maybe more. The computer keeps giving error messages." Then it happened. The nose of the ship pushed through the hole in space. It was black metal, darker than the space around it. It kept coming and coming. The front of the ship alone was bigger than one of Admiral Vexitara's cruisers. The human Dreadnought Inchon's fury slid into normal space like a sleeping giant waking up. It was 12 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. It was a monster made of metal and weapons. Every surface was covered with gun barrels and missile tubes. The ship looked like it had been built for one purpose, destroying everything in its path. Admiral Hyajin Choi stood on the command bridge of the Incheon's fury. She was a small woman, but her presence filled the enormous bridge. Around her, hundreds of crew members worked at their stations. The bridge alone was bigger than most ships. "Status report," Admiral Choi said. Her voice was calm and quiet, but everyone heard her. "All systems online, Admiral," said Lieutenant Commander Jae Sung-oh. "Weapons are charged and ready. Shields are at full power. All departments report ready for combat." Admiral Choi nodded. She walked to the huge window at the front of the bridge. Through it, she could see the alien fleet. 12 ships that had seemed so threatening a few minutes ago now looked like toys compared to her Dreadnought. "Scan the alien ships," she ordered. "I want to know everything about them." Yoonji Nam, the weapons officer, ran her scans. "Admiral, their ships are big, but their armor is light. Their weapons are energy-based, probably plasma cannons. Their shields are strong but old technology. Each ship has about 2,000 crew members. 24,000 aliens total," Admiral Choi said. "All of them someone's family. Someone's children." She turned to face her crew. "Remember that. We are not here to commit murder. We are here to teach a lesson." On the alien flagship, Admiral Vextara was trying to understand what she was seeing. Her tactical officer was running scan after scan, but the results made no sense. "The ship is definitely real, Admiral," he said. "But the readings are impossible. It has enough firepower to destroy a planet. The armor is some kind of metal I've never seen before. It seems to change and adapt while I'm scanning it." Admiral Vexitara stared at the human Dreadnought. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. Every line of the ship spoke of power and purpose. This was not a ship built by a weak species. This was a ship built by masters of war. "How many weapons does it have?" she asked. Her tactical officer was quiet for a long moment. I count over 3,000 weapon systems, Admiral. Some of them are so big I think they're designed to attack planets, not ships. 3,000 weapons. Admiral Vextara's entire fleet had maybe 200 weapons total. This one human ship had 15 times more firepower than her entire battle group. Back on the Incheon's Fury, Admiral Choi was ready to send her message. "Open a channel to all alien ships," she ordered. "Channel open, Admiral," said So Young-han, the communications officer. Admiral Choi's voice went out across space to every alien ship. It was calm and clear and absolutely terrifying. "This is Admiral Haijin Choi of the Human Federation Navy. You have threatened our people. You have talked about slavery and murder. You have shown us who you really are." On the alien ships, crew members listened in growing fear. This human woman sounded like she was in complete control. She sounded like someone who had fought many wars and won them all. "You said strong species rule and weak species serve," Admiral Choi continued. "You said this is how things work in your civilized space. Well, let me show you what real strength looks like." The Dreadnought's main guns began to move. 12 massive cannons, each one bigger than a normal spaceship, turned to aim at the alien fleet. The sound of the guns moving could be heard through the ship's hull. It was the sound of power being awakened. Young Ho Seo, standing on the bridge of the New Seoul, watched the alien fleet with satisfaction. He had served on human military ships before becoming an explorer. He knew what the Incheon's Fury could do. The aliens had no idea what they had just walked into. "Captain Daeho," Admiral Choi's voice came through on the secure channel. "Are you and your crew safe?" "We're fine, Admiral," Daeho replied. "Thanks for the quick response." "Always happy to help fellow humans," Admiral Choi said. "Now let's see if these aliens are smart enough to learn from what they're about to see." The Dreadnought's weapon systems came online one by one. First, the point defense guns, thousands of them, designed to shoot down missiles and small ships. Then the medium cannons built to fight other warships. Finally, the main guns, the planet killers, designed to crack worlds open from orbit. Admiral Vextara watched her sensor displays change from yellow to red to flashing emergency warnings. Her ships were being targeted by more weapons than she had ever seen in her life. Every gun on the human ship was aimed at her fleet. "Admiral," her navigation officer said, "I recommend we retreat immediately. We are completely outgunned." "By how much?" Admiral Vextara asked, though she already knew the answer would be bad. "If that ship fires everything at once, our entire fleet would be destroyed in under 30 seconds. Maybe less. Our shields wouldn't stop even their smallest weapons." Admiral Vextara closed her eyes. 30 seconds. Her proud fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, would last 30 seconds against one human ship. How was this possible? How had these humans built something so powerful? "Ma'am," her communications officer said. "The human admiral is speaking again." Admiral Choi's voice filled the bridge of every alien ship. "You wanted to test us. You wanted to see if humans were strong enough to survive in your galaxy. Well, here's your test. The ship carries 50,000 human sailors. Every one of them is a volunteer. Every one of them chose to leave their families and homes to protect their people. They are not here because they were forced to serve. They are here because they believe in something." The alien crews listened in silence. They were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. "You asked if we were civilized," Admiral Choi said. "Let me show you human civilization. We could destroy all of you right now. We have the power, we have the weapons. But we won't. Do you know why?" Nobody answered. The alien fleet hung in space, completely motionless. Because civilized people don't kill unless they have to. Because strong people protect the weak, they don't enslave them. Because real warriors fight to end wars, not to start them. Admiral Vextara realized she was holding her breath. This human woman was more frightening than any weapon. She spoke with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. She spoke with the wisdom of someone who understood war better than the Quillen Empire ever had. The human Dreadnought waited in space like a sleeping dragon. Its weapons were ready, but they did not fire. Its shields were up, but it did not attack. It simply waited for the aliens to make their choice. The alien fleet hung in space like dead ships. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Every crew member on every alien vessel stared at the human Dreadnought with pure terror in their hearts. Admiral Vexitara tried to think, but her mind felt frozen. For 300 years, the Quillen Empire had conquered star system after star system. They had always been the strongest. They had always been the most advanced. They had never met anyone who could challenge them. Until now. Science Officer Thysera, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Run another scan of that ship. There must be some mistake in our readings. Thysera's hands shook as she operated her equipment. She was the best science officer in the Quillen fleet. She had studied alien technology for her entire career, but what she was seeing now made no sense. Admiral, she said, I've run the scan 15 times. The results are always the same. That human ship has armor made from some kind of metal that changes its properties. When I scan it with energy beams, the armor adapts to resist those beams. It's like the ship is alive. Admiral Vexitara felt sick. What about weapons? The point defense systems alone could destroy our entire fleet, Thysera said. I count 3,000 small cannons designed to shoot down missiles. But they're powerful enough to cut our ships in half. The medium guns are designed to fight other warships. There are 500 of them. Any one of them could sink one of our cruisers with a single shot. And the big guns? Thysera was quiet for a long moment. The main battery consists of 12 orbital bombardment cannons. Admiral, these weapons are designed to destroy planets. They could crack a world's crust from orbit. If they fired at us... She didn't finish the sentence. Admiral Vexitara understood. If those planet-killer weapons fired at her fleet, there wouldn't be enough left to bury. On the human Dreadnought, Admiral Choi watched the alien ships with calm patience. She had been in situations like this before. Not against aliens, but against human enemies who thought they were stronger than they really were. The key was to let them think. Let them understand. Let them choose. Admiral, said Yunji Nam, the weapons officer, all alien ships are just sitting there. They're not charging weapons. They're not moving. They're not even talking to each other. Good, Admiral Choi said. Fear can be a teacher. Let them learn. Lieutenant Commander Jae Sung-oh was monitoring the alien communications. Admiral, I'm picking up fragments of their internal chatter. They're arguing about whether to fight or run. Some of them want to retreat immediately. Others think it would be shameful to run without firing a shot. Admiral Choi nodded. Pride can make people do stupid things, but fear can make them do smart things. Let's see which one wins. On the alien flagship, the bridge crew was having exactly the argument that the humans were listening to. Admiral Vexitara's tactical officer wanted to attack immediately. Admiral, we can't just sit here, he said. The Empire has never retreated from an enemy. If we run now, we'll be laughed at throughout the galaxy. If we attack now, we'll be dead throughout the galaxy. Admiral Vexitara replied. That human ship could destroy us all before we fired our second shot. Her navigation officer agreed. Ma'am, I've calculated the odds. Even if we hit that ship with everything we have, we probably wouldn't damage it seriously. Their armor is too strong. Their shields are too powerful. We would just make them angry. And then they would kill us, added the science officer. Admiral, that ship carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet. They could turn every one of our ships into space dust and still have ammunition left over. Admiral Vexitara looked at her senior staff. These were experienced officers. They had fought in dozens of battles. They had conquered entire star systems. But now they looked like frightened children. What do you recommend? She asked. Retreat, said the navigation officer immediately. Full emergency jump to hyperspace. Get away from here as fast as possible. Agreed, said the science officer. This is not a battle we can win. This is not even a battle we can survive. The tactical officer was angry. The Empire will court-martial us for cowardice. The Empire will understand when they see our sensor logs, Admiral Vexitara said. When they see what these humans have built, they'll know we made the right choice. But before she could give the order to retreat, something else happened. The human admiral started talking again. Attention Quillen ships. Admiral Choi's voice filled their bridges. I know you're trying to decide what to do. I know some of you want to fight and some of you want to run. Let me help you make your decision. The main screen on every alien ship lit up with a tactical display. It showed their fleet and the human Dreadnought. Then it showed what would happen if the humans fired. Computer simulations played out in real time. The first scenario showed the aliens attacking. Their plasma cannons fired at the human ship. The beams hit the Dreadnought's shields and simply disappeared. They did no damage at all. Then the human ship fired back. The simulation showed the alien fleet being destroyed in exactly 28 seconds. Ship after ship exploded as human weapons tore through their hulls like paper. In less than half a minute, 24,000 alien lives were ended. The second scenario showed a different outcome. The alien fleet retreated. No shots were fired. No one died. Both sides went home to their families. The choice is yours, Admiral Choi said. But choose quickly. My people have been threatened. My patience has limits. Admiral Vexitara stared at the simulation. 28 seconds. That's how long her proud fleet would last against one human ship. She thought about the families of her crew members. She thought about the children who would never see their parents again if she chose to fight. All ships, she said into her communication system. This is Admiral Vexitara. Prepare for emergency retreat. We are leaving this system immediately. Admiral, her tactical officer protested. The Empire will not understand. The Empire will understand perfectly when they see these recordings, Vexitara replied. They will understand that humans are not the weak primitives we thought they were. They will understand that we found something we were not prepared to face. On the Incheon's Fury, Admiral Choi watched the alien ships begin to power up their hyperspace engines. They were getting ready to run. She felt a mixture of relief and sadness. Relief because no one would die today. Sadness because this is how first contact had to be, with threats and fear instead of friendship and cooperation. Admiral, said young Ho Seo from the New Seoul. They're getting ready to jump to hyperspace. It looks like they're all leaving. Good, Admiral Choi replied. War is always the last option, never the first one. But she kept her weapons trained on the alien fleet until the very last second. Because she knew that sometimes people changed their minds. Sometimes pride overcame fear. Sometimes stupid people did stupid things even when they knew better. She would not let her guard down until every alien ship was gone. She would not risk the lives of her crew or the crew of the New Seoul, because she wanted to trust people who had just threatened to enslave them. The first alien ship disappeared into hyperspace. Then the second. Then the third. One by one, the Quillen fleet vanished from normal space, running away from a battle they knew they could not win. Admiral Vexitara's flagship was the last to leave. Before she jumped to hyperspace, she sent one final message to the human ships. This is Admiral Vexitara. We are leaving your space, but this is not over. The Galactic Council will hear about this encounter. They will decide what to do about your species. Admiral Choi's reply was simple and calm. We'll be waiting. Then the alien flagship disappeared and the humans were alone in space once again. Admiral Choi stood on her bridge and looked out at the empty space where the alien fleet had been just moments before. She could have killed them all. Her ship had the power to turn 24,000 living beings into space dust in less than 30 seconds. But she hadn't pulled the trigger. So young, she said to her communications officer. Open a channel to all human ships in the system. It's time for a lesson. Channel open, Admiral, Lieutenant So Young Han replied. This is Admiral Choi to all human personnel, she began. What we just experienced was first contact with an alien species. It did not go the way we hoped it would. They threatened us with slavery and death. They tried to use fear to control us. They learned something important today, but I want to make sure we learn something important too. Throughout the human fleet, thousands of sailors listened to their admiral's words. On the New Seoul, Captain Daeho and his crew gathered around their communication system. This was not just a military briefing. This was a moment that would shape how humans dealt with aliens for generations to come. We are not like them, Admiral Choi continued. We did not come out here to conquer anyone. We did not build this ship to threaten innocent people. We built it to protect our families and our freedom. But the aliens don't understand that yet. They think all powerful species are like them. They think having big weapons means wanting to use them on weaker people. On the Dreadnought's bridge, Captain Jin Woo Yu pulled up historical files on his computer. As the ship's chief historian, it was his job to help people understand how humans had become what they were. The data he was looking at told a story that would frighten any alien who took the time to study it. Admiral, Jin Woo said, should I transmit our historical data to the alien ships before they leave our sensor range? Yes, Admiral Choi said. They need to understand who they just met. Send them everything. Our wars, our weapons development, our military philosophy, all of it. The data package that shot out toward the fleeing alien ships contained 10,000 years of human history. It told the story of a species that had turned warfare into an art form, not because they loved killing, but because they had to survive. The files showed the Quillen Empire something that terrified them more than any weapon. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other. They had perfected ways to kill that the aliens couldn't even imagine. But more importantly, they had learned when not to kill. Admiral Vexitara's ship was already 3 light-years away when the human data package caught up with them. She was about to order her communications officer to delete it when her science officer stopped her. "Admiral," Thisara said, "you need to see this. The humans sent us their history. Their military history." "I don't care about their history," Admiral Vextara said. "I just want to get home and report what happened." "Ma'am, please, look at this." Thisara put the human data on the main screen. What Admiral Vextara saw made her blood turn cold. The files showed human wars that lasted for decades, battles where millions of people died in a single day, weapons that could kill every living thing on a planet. Cities turned to glass by nuclear fire. Entire continents poisoned by chemical weapons. "This can't be real," she whispered. "The data checks out," Thisara said. "Admiral, humans have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. Not small wars. Not simple conquests. Total wars. Wars where defeat meant their entire civilization would be destroyed." Admiral Vexitara scrolled through the files with growing horror. She saw weapons that could destroy planets. She saw strategies that involved killing billions of people. She saw a species that had learned to fight with a desperation that the Quillan Empire couldn't understand. "They've been preparing for war their entire history," she said. "Every human innovation, every human technology, it all started as a weapon." Back on the Inchin's Fury, Admiral Choi was explaining this exact point to her crew. "The aliens think we built this ship to attack them," she said. "They don't understand that we built it to defend ourselves. Every weapon on this ship exists because at some point in our history, we needed that weapon to survive." Lieutenant Commander Jae Sung-oh raised his hand. "Admiral, what if they come back with more ships? What if they bring their entire military?" Admiral Choi smiled. It was not a happy smile. "Then they'll learn why humans don't start wars anymore. We don't start them because we're too good at finishing them." She walked to the ship's tactical display. It showed the location of every human military vessel within 50 light-years. There were hundreds of them. Dreadnoughts, battleships, carriers, destroyers. An entire fleet built by a species that had learned to wage war better than anyone else in their part of the galaxy. "Yoonji," she said to her weapons officer. "Show them the math." Yoonji Nam pulled up the tactical calculations on the main screen. The numbers were simple but terrifying. The human fleet in this sector alone had enough firepower to sterilize 100 worlds. If they wanted to, they could turn entire star systems into graveyards. "But we don't want to," Admiral Choi said. "That's what makes us different from empires like the Quillans. We have the power to destroy, but we choose to protect. We have the ability to conquer, but we choose to explore. We have weapons that could end civilizations, but we use them to preserve freedom." Captain Young Ho Seo on the New Seoul was recording every word. This conversation would be studied at military academies for generations. It would become the foundation of human first contact protocols. "Sir," said Bo-Ra Park, "why did you call for the Inchin's Fury? Why not try to negotiate longer?" Young Ho thought about the question. "Because some people only understand strength. The aliens weren't interested in talking. They were interested in dominating. The only way to deal with bullies is to show them you're not afraid to fight back." Meanwhile, Admiral Vexitara was still reading through the human military files. What she found there changed everything she thought she knew about warfare. Humans didn't just build weapons to win battles. They built weapons to end wars completely. Their entire military philosophy was based on the idea that the best way to avoid fighting was to be so well prepared for war that no one would dare attack you. "Look at this," she said to her science officer. "They call it mutually assured destruction. If anyone attacks them with planet-killing weapons, they'll respond by destroying the attacker's entire civilization. Not just their military, everything." Thisara read over the files. "Admiral, this is insane. They're willing to commit genocide to defend themselves." "No," Admiral Vextara said slowly. "They're willing to threaten genocide to prevent anyone from attacking them. There's a difference. Look at their history. Once they developed these weapons, they stopped fighting big wars. The threat was so terrible that it made war impossible." She was beginning to understand something that frightened her more than any weapon. Humans had solved the problem of war by becoming so good at it that no one wanted to fight them anymore. "Ma'am," her communications officer said, "we're receiving another transmission from the human fleet." "Put it on screen," Admiral Vexitara said. Admiral Choi's face appeared on the main screen. She looked calm and confident. like someone who had just finished a routine training exercise instead of a first contact situation that could have started a galactic war. "Admiral Vextara," she said, "by now you've had time to review our historical data. I hope it helps you understand who we are. We didn't choose to become warriors. War chose us. We didn't want to build these weapons. We had to build them to survive." Admiral Vextara found herself leaning forward, hanging on every word. "But here's what I want you to remember," Admiral Choi continued. "We had the power to destroy your fleet, but we chose not to use it. We could have fired first and asked questions later, but we chose to talk. We are not your enemies unless you make us your enemies." The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Vextara staring at a blank screen. She understood now why the human ship had seemed so terrifying. It wasn't just the weapons or the armor or the size. It was the knowledge that the people inside it understood war better than anyone else in the galaxy. And they had chosen not to use that knowledge to hurt her. 3 weeks later, Admiral Vextara stood before the Galactic Council on the capital world of Zentara Prime. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from 47 different species. Each one ruled star systems. Each one commanded fleets of warships. Each one thought they understood what power meant. They were about to learn they were wrong. "Members of the Council," Admiral Vextara began, "I stand before you today to report on our encounter with a new species, humans from a planet called Earth." The council chamber was huge and circular. In the center stood a holographic projector that could display images visible to all 47 species, each with different eyes and different ways of seeing. Around the edges sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Council Leader Mordak of the Hegemony leaned forward in his floating chair. "Admiral, your initial report said you retreated without engaging the enemy. Explain yourself." Admiral Vextara had been dreading this question for 3 weeks. "Council Leader, I retreated because engaging the humans would have resulted in the complete destruction of my fleet with no meaningful damage to their forces." Angry voices filled the chamber. Representatives shouted questions and accusations. How could 12 Quillan warships lose to a single primitive vessel? Had Admiral Vextara lost her nerve? Was she exaggerating to cover up her cowardice? Silence. Council Leader Mordak's voice boomed through the hall. "Admiral, present your evidence." Admiral Vextara activated the holographic projector. The image of the human Dreadnought Inshan's Fury appeared in the center of the chamber. Even as a hologram, the ship looked terrifying. Every representative in the hall fell silent. "This is a human warship," Admiral Vextara said. 12 kilometers long, 3 kilometers wide. Crew of 50,000, over 3,000 weapon systems. The numbers hung in the air like a death sentence. The largest ship in the Galactic Council fleet was barely 4 kilometers long. Most warships carried crews of 1 or 2,000. The biggest guns they had ever built could punch through a mountain. This human ship could destroy planets. Representative Kyle Nara of the Synthetic Collective spoke first. "Admiral, these readings must be incorrect. No species could build something like this without centuries of spaceflight experience. The humans have only been in space for a few decades." "The readings are correct," Admiral Vextara said. "I had my science officer verify them 15 times. This ship exists, it is real, and it is only one of many." She activated another hologram. This one showed the human fleet dispositions that her long-range sensors had detected before she jumped to hyperspace. Dozens of similar ships scattered across multiple star systems. A military force larger than anything the Galactic Council had ever assembled. "How is this possible?" whispered Representative Thiss of the Academic Union. "How did they advance so quickly?" Admiral Vextara took a deep breath. This was the part that would be hardest for the Council to accept. They didn't advance quickly. They've been preparing for war for 10,000 years. She activated the human historical data. The chamber filled with images of human conflicts. Battles with primitive weapons that killed thousands. Wars with industrial weapons that killed millions. Finally, wars with advanced weapons that could kill billions. They have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history, Admiral Vextara explained. Every human innovation started as a weapon. Every human technology was first used to kill other humans. They turned warfare into a science. The council representatives stared at the images in growing horror. They saw humans using chemical weapons that poisoned entire continents. They saw nuclear weapons that turned cities into glass. They saw biological weapons that could kill every living thing on a planet. "This is barbaric," said Representative Zethan of the Peaceful Worlds Alliance. "These humans are monsters." "No," Admiral Vexitara said quietly. "They're survivors." She showed them more data. Human casualty figures from their various wars. In some conflicts, entire generations of young humans died fighting. In others, entire cities were erased from existence. But the humans kept fighting. They kept learning. They kept building better weapons and better defenses. They didn't develop this technology because they enjoyed killing, Admiral Vexitara continued. They developed it because they had to. Every weapon they built was a response to someone else's weapon. Every defense was a response to someone else's attack. They were locked in an arms race with themselves for thousands of years. Council Leader Mordak studied the data with growing unease. "What is their current military strength?" Admiral Vextara pulled up the latest intelligence estimates. "Unknown but substantial. Our sensors detected at least 50 major warships in the sector we encountered them. If they have similar forces in other sectors, their total military might could exceed the combined fleets of the Galactic Council." The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions and demands. Some wanted to attack the humans immediately, before they could grow stronger. Others wanted to try diplomatic contact. A few suggested retreating to the galactic core and hoping the humans would leave them alone. "There's something else," Admiral Vextara said, waiting for the noise to die down. "The humans could have destroyed my entire fleet. Their ship had enough firepower to kill all 24,000 of my crew members in less than 30 seconds. "But they didn't fire. Why not?" asked Representative Mordak. "Because they don't want to conquer us. They want to coexist with us. They showed restraint even when they had overwhelming force. That tells us something important about their character." She activated one final hologram. This one showed Admiral Hye-Jin Choi standing on the bridge of her Dreadnought, surrounded by 50,000 human sailors. Every face was calm and professional. These were not savage warriors hungry for battle. These were people doing a job they hoped they would never have to do. "The humans have something we've never seen before," Admiral Vextara said. "They have unlimited power combined with unlimited restraint. They can destroy anyone, but they choose not to. They can conquer anyone, but they choose to explore instead. They are the most dangerous species we've ever encountered, and also the most peaceful." Representative Kyle Nara processed this information through her synthetic brain. "What do they want from us?" According to their final transmission, they want trade, cooperation, and mutual respect. They're willing to share technology and knowledge with species that treat them as equals, but they will not tolerate slavery, conquest, or threats against their people. Council Leader Mordak was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "Admiral, what is your recommendation?" "Accept their terms. Establish formal diplomatic relations. Trade with them. Learn from them. And never ever threaten them again." 2 months later, Ambassador C. Young Park stood before the same Galactic Council. But this time she was not facing hostile aliens. She was facing potential partners. "Members of the Council," she said in perfect galactic standard, "the Human Federation offers you friendship. We offer you trade. We offer you protection from those who would harm you. In return, we ask only for respect and the right to exist as a free people." The agreement that was signed that day changed the galaxy forever. Humans shared their advanced technology with Council species. In return, they gained access to galactic trade routes and diplomatic protections. But more importantly, they gained something that no military force could provide: respect. The human dreadnoughts patrolled the space lanes protecting merchant ships from pirates. Human scientists worked alongside alien researchers to solve problems that had puzzled the galaxy for centuries. Human explorers pushed into unknown regions of space, mapping new worlds and making new discoveries. And whenever anyone asked why the humans helped so much, the answer was always the same: because they could. Admiral Hye-Jin Choi retired 5 years later, her mission complete. The galaxy had learned that humans were not conquerors or destroyers. They were protectors and builders. They had turned their weapons into tools of peace and their warriors into guardians of freedom. Captain Dae-ho Kim continued his exploration missions, but now he traveled with a galactic passport and diplomatic immunity. The small ship New Sol had become a symbol of human curiosity and peaceful exploration. And in the deepest archives of the Galactic Council, Admiral Vextara's report was studied by military strategists and diplomats alike. It became required reading for anyone who wanted to understand the new reality of galactic politics. The humans had arrived. They were here to stay, and the galaxy was a safer place because of it. In the final paragraph of her report, Admiral Vexitara had written, "We thought we were the strongest species in the galaxy. We thought our weapons and our fleets made us invincible. The humans taught us that true strength is not the ability to destroy your enemies. True strength is the wisdom to turn your enemies into friends." The galaxy had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes, the most powerful weapon is the one you never use.